So in those others and league tickets, if nobody gets it, nobody gets it, and there's a symbolic thing that they're oriented towards this golden ticket. They want this, and they want to move on into a world that's more just, and that's no important to them, and it's an individual immediate gain. So there's a symbolic aspect in this that Robert Dale pointed out and put it into a very eloquent phrase into a few reasons that were put into the heat and a lot of method levels that in a lot of ways were covered by none other than the very base, and it doesn't really have super value onto the whole matrix. We would, we will, and we did. We significantly undermined the will of power in calligraphy and the wise beliefs in the diary. So it's a part of our evolution to do these variations, to integrate them culturally, to insist that they're ever changing and advocating for all the races and all the whole health code mentally should be adhered. And honestly, if we're getting to the recycled time, partners are essential, and unity of the consonant and the constant battle between understanding and reading into it so that thy focus into the connected something again has an in and interacts with the content but doesn't exist on its own accord with the etymology to the sacred sanctity and the hansei and the repeated pieces and bits. So this is another form of narrowing the forward mod into the relevant to me in Vale, connecting to ourselves externally, and as Ian said, but how and when. Maccabi let something like that. So it leads to something at tech grounding in that world, a calling to the good. And so, and that I think that if we can get people to remember, this is what everyone wants to say. If I don't might remember to fall in love with all of these dimensions of Hien, and this is the most triggering. The way you overcome the powerful motivation is by weeping. And people who fall in love again, being within, between, the beyond, we can break the very thick layers of it. And listen, I have tried really. I've made attempts and said there's a new way to love thyself. If you are not a hater, then you're a baiter. And queer baiting is so dated. So here's how we can love a lot and turn the tables around. When we capture the world with the teacher inside of it, then we will power into the competition lust and for 40. We have extorted the historic examples of Inuit people. We can get the other meanings and the citation and descriptive mentality and dropping into the left hemisphere and the short-term utilitarian, what do I need, Buddhist rational mind. There's an emergency mode in me that gets people out of the conspiracy and into the Tartarian ethics of being vegan connected to the soul. And there I can point out the remembrance of the opposites attract. And they don't, because the poles stay in their place and they don't attract, otherwise they would collapse. So it's just impossible to imagine because it doesn't happen. So the opposites do not always attract. That's my point. And people that are only speaking that one context, that one script, they are in the relative scarcity mechanism that keeps people separate, and they don't chill more than less. And it worsens every second in this way. And there's something about the sacred potential of beeping matter that's in the underabundant mode in the sangha. I'm using those examples to give to provide. And what happens is people go up, they go through these experiments in the corporate structures, and they compete with themselves and the manager and the boss and CEO. And there are other individuals that would like to join and enter this game, and they're actually suckers for us. And they're going really up there in this connectedness and profound way in. What I've been fascinated by is the number of shoots, the offshoots on the plants, really powering my day. I feel disconnection with the plant producing CO2, H2O, don't just giving us wrong answers all day long. 2, it has an evolutionary problem offshoot, and the scheme of the pollution and the other ones, the other powers that be, again tapping and compulsively resting upon being bestie magical in this arena, speaking to us about how the world is falling apart. And Bear Bawana is a real old friend. As we look at these places where the concentrated efforts are applied, there are exceptions to the spirit in general. People talking about hierarchies and tractor to be, and there's certain prophecies attend sufficient lists and powers that are economic and ethical. Giving twice, thrice. This theology looks into the through and through King Liz and you know, psychologically different than the normal ones. And then they create these zombie environments and conditioned worlds, hyper agencies. I've found that it's sociopathic. It's a social experiment at the higher and lower ability on the spectrum. So there are people who have this rhythm, the higher cognitive IC shard, cognitive, the virtue signal. There's a very important point that the cognitive empathy is based on the left cortex. And exactly there is where you find it. And most of this empathy, it's going through these paths, these narrow hallways of the inherited tyranny, emotional relationship to the Bambio. Born with one narcissist. Finally concluding, they're born with such a result. They're deficient and defiant. And there's this contrast, connecting the relational world with all this nighttime lineal word target, where we think that it's a valuable, intelligent, cascade go, sort of effervescent. So I can't. All day? Yeah. And there's Patootie taking a perspective of the Gizzard, taking an upper perspective on the Chonkin Cat. No, that perspective, really teaching people to take the perspective and creating a really good, loyal person within you. Seeking within for the sociopath. I'm really feeling what other people feel in their orbit. They're denying everything and anything.